Hello, congratulations. You made it past the professionally personal conversation with high marks. Now you're ready for the professional portion of the interview. And the very first question in your own words to be asked is, you must be so busy. What was it about my resume that caught your interest to invite me in for an interview today? Of course, that will set the hiring manager back on their heels, but they'll be impressed that you took the lead to begin the conversation. It sets you apart from everyone else. Why is that? Most people sit back in their chairs just waiting for questions to be hurled at them. And then you get these canned questions, many of them ridiculous. For example, one that I received was, if you could be any animal in the world, which one would it be? I had to take a few minutes to think about it just in case you get it, as to how my answer might apply to a sales position. You would need to do the same, but to prevent it, you think of intelligent questions ahead of time to ask and take the lead. And when somebody answers your question, determine if there are more questions to be asked regarding their answer to move it along. But you want to know too, why there's a vacancy, how the previous person performed on their job, and how they might have done a better job. Through the process, you'll also want to know if you can meet other members of the team, should there be one, and to meet them privately, because in private conversation, they give you the true skinny about what actually takes place on the job. Toward the end of your professional conversation, you'll also want to know what a typical day looks like. And should somebody do it exceedingly well and get high-flying marks at the review at a year end, what would a career advancement path look like? They may be surprised you're asking these questions just simply to get a job. On the other hand, they again will be impressed that you're taking the lead and thinking ahead. You're thinking out of the box and you're acting like a leader. Should there be a team involved, they do want people who have leadership capabilities. They also want to see somewhat of an extrovert personality, although you may be an introvert. It's good to demonstrate both. The other thing is to keep in mind all your personal stories, as questions are eventually asked of you, like, can you give me an example of how you had a very difficult learning period and how you handled it? So think of stories ahead of time of where those learning curves were hard, the lessons you learned from them, and how it advanced you further into your career. If you're a salesperson, you can talk to how you helped another client advance in what they were trying to accomplish. If you're a student and this is going to be your first interview, think about perhaps how you helped a classmate, or how you tutored and helped students. Perhaps you were a team player on a sports team, and how you helped other people do well and gain goals out of free will. Talk about collaborative ideas, new ideas, things that you've done differently in school. All these types of personal stories should be included on the interview so they get a sense of who you really are, what your brand is, how you stand out. And this is what will help you land the job. One caution: should the person interviewing you use jargon with which you are not familiar, be very honest and say, excuse me, I'm not familiar with that term. Will you please tell me what it means? I'll give you an example of why this should be done. Someone I knew who was a sales manager used to play games with people interviewing for a job, and he'd use terms that were completely made up, and it was a test to see who was honest. And some applicants would actually say, oh yeah, I know that new technology. I just implemented it and it's the best ever. Well, those people were quickly booted out of the office because they were lying. There was no such thing. So be very honest. When somebody gives you an answer and you don't quite get all the ramifications of the answer, ask for them to clarify so that you can be certain how to move ahead. These are all tips to help you advance to the end of the conversation on a high note. By the end of the conversation, ask, do I sound like the type of candidate that you're seeking? And the answer obviously should be yes. And then you might, with a twinkle in your eye, ask, and what would you suggest I could do to push it over to the top to be the lead candidate? Then before you leave the office, providing you are the lead candidate or near the top, ask what the next steps are, when you can expect to hear back, or would they like to set a date now for you to return to finalize the interviewing process. You need to be somewhat forward, show confidence, and that will also put you in the top lead. So stay tuned. We have another video to go, but this is the process to get hired. And once again, you will find all the information in the book, Hired: How to Use Sales Techniques to Sell Yourself on Interviews. Thank you for watching.